program is still New Dawn, and this is the discussion segment. You agree with me that 2027 is the year for the general election. But what we can see now is that 2026 is the year for gathering of momentum. And the momentum is being gathered, the doors are being raised, and ahead of general elections. So this morning we'll be talking about the Electoral Act, the proposed amendment to the Electoral Act and the future of elections in Nigeria. What are the controversies? What are the issues? What must be amended? What must be retained? These are many more we'll be discussing. And I have Moses Ojomi as my partner this morning. Moses.
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us, and good morning to our guest, Comrade Yinka Folari. Well, the bone of contention since yesterday has been the rejection of the proposal to make the electronic transmission of election results from polling units to the Independent National Electoral Commission's results via a portal, IREV. Though the Senate has dismissed this, we heard from the Senate President, Fabio, we heard from Senator Baribe, who said no, they didn't reject any proposal, that the transmission of results is still valid. So what's the first about all of this? Perhaps you can make sense out of this.
Yeah, thank you very much, and so thank you to our viewers. Honestly, Nigerians seek to have a democracy that is being consolidated and that tends to provide a free, fair, and credible platform for the emergence of any candidate. And those factors that will actually influence that also has to do with the procedure of the election, compliance with procedure of election. And from what we have learned so far since we returned back to democracy in 1999, you will agree with me that many of the falls and rise has actually led us to most of the amendments that were being proposed, and even the ones that were being proposed by our legislators and even by Nigerians themselves, to say, oh, we are failing so way. These are the things that has been limiting the success of our election. But when we do it this way, it's good. We observe that vote buying has been one very, very serious setback to credible elections in Nigeria. Nigerians have been shouting, let us find a way of criminalizing vote buying. So the consciousness of Nigerians are actually reawakening to see that things are done properly. And when you now go to the clause, I think clause 63 or thereabout, that talk about the electronic transmission of results. Yes, since the last amendment, the issue of electronic transmission of results has been there, but it was made an option. If it is convenient for the INEC, they would transmit. When it is not convenient for them, they could use their discretion to go the other way. And I think that was where the issue came from. Nigerians had expected that it should be compelling. It is when it is compelling that you must do this. That is when such flaws around that can be challenged in court. So any attempt to actually shy away from that, or to let it be that we leave it to the discretion of INEC to decide, it then means that if INEC so feel that we transmit in Abeokuta, so we don't transmit in Abeokuta, we do this, we do that. Definitely, the law will not criminalize that act. They can't be held responsible for not transmitting. And we are in a digital age where we felt that technology should advance our cause. And we have seen that in the case of beavers. When beavers came into force, we saw that many of the issues we had in the past, like having people multiple voting, having people to come and say, oh, I didn't find my name on the list, I didn't find. The beavers came as a game changer, like they said. And we saw that to a very large extent, it was very, very effective. And to now complement that is to say that whatever result that is, when beavers came, you could see even some of these politicians still went on devise alternative means when they see the stronghold of their opposition and they suspect they cannot have their way. The next thing you see them doing is in the process of manually transmitting the results from the polling unit to the local government or to the wards or local government, you see ballot papers being election result being hijacked, and then that has also caused a very serious setback. And that is why we felt that if results are being transmitted right at the point of voting, it will go a long way in at least communicating the credibility of that process. So to do otherwise is to give room for manipulation, and without mincing words, I can tell you our politicians of today, it may one way or the other be favorable to them, because any calculation that will make them to win election is what they want to adopt. Either it is retrogressive or a progressive one, they won't mind. So we consider not compelling INEC to transmit to the IREV, not compelling it, we could consider it as a retrogressive act, because it is still like saying it is optional for you. So if the Nigerian Senate has actually tested the mic, I think they have been able to hear the response from the people that no, you can't afford to take us back. We have moved some steps forward, then we should consolidate on that and not to.
But what about the challenge of technical glitches? Because even if INEC is compelled to transmit, if there's no manual alternative, but just like we saw in 2023 elections, what if INEC comes out to say, okay, we know that there are some places in Nigeria where they may not have the infrastructure, the communication infrastructure, to transmit electronically. So what about that?
Honestly, that would be a very good conspiracy, because I can tell you, just like talking about the issue of beavers, many are thought in the same line that beavers was not going to work. We should continue manually. But if you don't start, you can never talk about the conclusion. So for us to anticipate failure is to say that it's not going to work at all. And then we can't conclude that way. INEC have gotten enough time to prepare. If you're talking of connection, in some places there will be no network. It is for them to find alternative. The preparation period is there. The preparation period is there. We earlier complained about the issue of beavers. They told us there will be backup. There will be backup. In fact, when beavers was firstly introduced, we saw some little skirmishes, and but at the next election, I think even when we firstly had the National Assembly election, we saw that between the time we had National Assembly and the governorship election, there was a very good improvement. They came with backup, and it worked. So for us to feel that because some villages does not have network and there cannot be a backup network to sort things, that would be a very counterproductive one. Because even where there is war, where country is being shut down, when the internet is being shut down, we still saw interventions from alternative intervention that's brought about restoration of internet. So if we're talking about technology, they will have to do more research in getting the best technology that will assist INEC in giving the best in delivering on their mandate. But for us to feel that it is not going to work, it is tantamount to accepting failure, that it can never work. And to have it in mind that it can never work is to say that our democracy cannot progress. Because we're talking about for it to have a good and free and credible, the process must be transparent. A process that is not transparent definitely cannot yield a people-centered, people-oriented result.
Commissioner, to be fair on INEC has not said it won't work, and I'm sure the Senate has not said it won't work. But what the Senate are saying is that we can't completely rule out the manual transmission of results as a backup plan to the electronic transmission. If I want to quote the Senate President, and I heard him speak this morning, he said to cancel electronic transmission of results is to take the electronic process backward, which they are not planning to do. So what I'm trying to say is that we are in this era of cyber security, cyber hacking.
Yes.
Now, from 2023 general election till now, INEC has conducted some elections, some by-elections, some off-cycle elections, and it has proven that electronic transmission of results can work. They've transmitted almost all the results electronically, and we could monitor it real time. Now, in this issue, should this issue arise in the first place, where electronic transmission of results is now a debate, and also because it's tantamount to fake news as it is, because Senate has said they have never done that, they have never even thought about it, or is it some people that are afraid of losing in the election what can we put this to?
Yes, I have said it. Even if Senate has not come, we are in a stage, period of amendment. That section was optional in the first instance. And moving forward, one has expected that it should be compelling. When it is optional, you could elect to go for either option. That we want to transmit manually here, we don't want to transmit electronically here. What are the merits and the demerits of transmitting electronically and manually? When you transmit electronically, it is to say that the whole world, even people who are not within the country, anywhere, you are seeing what is going on. But when you choose to go manually, well, there could be that there are tendencies or possibility of manipulations. Even it could put some of the officials, it could make them to be vulnerable, because our politicians, they can be very, very terrible. They can be very, very terrible, and they could say that because of the manipulation we want to carry out here, you cannot transmit these results electronically. And just 2 minutes is too long when it comes to that process. So that is why people are saying that let it be compelling, let it be the law that INEC must do this. You spoke about, you said Akpabio has said we cannot totally erase manual transmission. That is where the contradiction comes from. One has expected that by now, with the level of our preparation, with the communication from INEC to say we are prepared, we are doing this, we are doing that, that the issue of transmission should be a thing of, it should be a settled case. We should not be talking about going manual any longer. That we want to transmit election result manually. No, we shouldn't be looking at that aspect. Everything should go. If you're talking of connection, even where connection is okay, even where internet is okay, where the cyber security is intact, I can tell you without missing word and from experience as an observer of how many decades, I can tell you that our politicians are still so terrible, they could still go on to manipulate that. So to tell us that you cannot, that we should still retain the manual aspect of it, shows our seriousness, that we are not prepared, we are not ready to consolidate the so-called democracy we claim to be operating. So it's a very sad one. And if you're not talking about that, what about the other two? There are other two parts of that amendment that was actually rejected. And that will give you a clue to say that these politicians knows what they are doing. They want status quo to remain. And the issue of vote buying that we've been shouting and talking about, we have been, at the time, we have raised our voices that there should be special offenses courts that would try vote buying and other offenses that happened during the election. But what have we gone to see? We have seen the case where they have come to say that, no, we are rejecting 10 years ban for vote buyers, because they know, most of them know that they are all into the business, and they want it to be business as usual.
To set records, they didn't reject 10 years ban. Yeah. They reduced, it's a jail term.
The jail term, yes.
They reduced the jail term from 10 years to 2 years.
To 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not an outright rejection.
So,
it's just a reduction. I was even about asking you that because that reduction,
yes,
10 years to 2 years, will it serve as deterrent enough?
Obviously, to 2 years, they should have allowed you to remain 10 years. If you are serious about, stopping a certain satanic or demonic act, then you should let the penalty, it should be stringent enough to deter people from engaging in such acts. These are, when you manipulate the election, you deprive people of their right to choose their leaders. Vote buying has done more harm to us in this nation than any good. Politicians now see that it is not actually necessary for them to canvass the vote of the people, in as much as they have had the opportunity to steal, whether from private or even from the same public, and they have calculated very well what is the poverty index in the country or in my constituency. If I could go on to say I'm giving them 5,000, 10,000, then I've already traded their right. That is what I say. It is criminal. It is, in fact, it is more criminal than it is more or less like robbery. It is robbery of the people's mandate, because you are manipulating them. You are going through the back door. There's nothing that should stop them from having it being retained as 10 years imprisonment. That would deter. I'm not saying 2 years where a convict is a convict, but nevertheless, we have seen this to be the major bane to our current challenges as far as the election process is concerned. INEC have been doing all their very best, to be sincere. You've seen INEC introducing beavers. INEC also saying that we are even putting tracker. They put tracker on their vehicle, monitor this, monitor that. They upload it, they upload that. But yet those are the key players who are supposed to be the politicians. They devise alternative means to buy people's conscience. So I think they should have criminalized that. If we can have scapegoat among them, they will know that it is not all about buying and buying. Go out to the field, go out to your constituency, to the communities, engage them, let people know what you want to deliver. And when you go the other way around, let the confidence also be there that they can take the alternative to call you back. But when we go back and forth over issues, when we are increasing, we said someone who commits rape will go on a life imprisonment, will do this, will do that, and we have not taken time to review that. How much more if you're talking of vote buying? Vote buying is buying of the conscience. It is bringing shame to the nation. It is bringing shame to the nation. It is undermining the entire nation, undermining the system. To say Nigeria is a sham, that it cannot work, we can manipulate our way, and that shouldn't be. So they should, if that Senate is serious, they should be very, very more concerned about deterring people from engaging in such. But you know, they are the traders. They are.
Permit me to take you back a bit, because
no problem.
Like you say, the question: can we really raise the option of manual transmission? Because I'm thinking, if the technology fails, what would be the alternative? And I think that's what the Senate is saying. We know our challenges. You know, we are not a developed nation. We are still developing. So even the beavers, yes, there are still problems here and there, even in 2023. So if we raise that option of manual transmission, what would they fall back to when the transmission fails?
You know, in the case of beavers, for instance, I know there are certain conditions that where beavers fails or something happens to it, the result of that particular place for whatever reason may have to be cancelled. They may need to reconduct this or that. You see, beavers is now a mandatory requirement for the election, and it is a must that they must use it for accreditation and others. If we are serious about it also, to say that yes, electronic transmission is mandatory, I'm telling you, we will strive. That will give us a kind of it will gear us up to work towards perfecting it. But to still have option for it is what I am. Having that alternative, that manual transfer, it can bring about laziness or give room for those who are already looking forward to that lacuna to say that, oh, no problem, we have seen this opportunity to manipulate the people in this area. So whether we are developing or we are not developing, who would have thought in 1998 or even 1999 when we returned to democracy that by today we'll be having Android phone that can perform multiple functions, that can even be, but because we were determined, we want to get ourselves exposed as well to make sure that we align with what is going on in the developed world. And that is why today you can see people also operating the way they can. So going by the issue of electronic transmission, if it is compelling, I can tell you, we can only talk about increasing the budget for compliance to make sure that things work very, very well. And I think that is a major function of those who have elected there. It's one of their functions to make things work for the country. So they should let INEC come. What are those things they need to put in place? There is enough time for them to carry out survey of what are the possibility of we not having network in so place. If we cannot deploy MTN, can we deploy ETH? Can we deploy network? Can we deploy what are the type of network we can use in so place? Or do we even need the other modern technology that will assist us to gain a network when we are? It is not impossible. We have seen it. I was just talking to you. I made reference earlier about a war going on in a particular country where the country decided to shut down the entire internet. But an alternative from outside came that, oh, we are going to give, we put on this, and that was on the people who access the internet. So you can't tell me that because there are no masts in social place, that there is no network, then definitely there cannot be solution to it. No, there should be solution, and that is why INEC have gotten enough time to plan, and they are expected to even work with other agencies. They will work with communication agencies and other agencies to ensure that things are done properly. So I am afraid that this decision, or that if this is the decision of theirs, holistically, it will be undermining our agitations and our projection as far as advancement in terms of democracy and this electionary process is concerned. So we can always find a way around it. It was just not to conclude that it will not work.
I think we should move away from this because that's not the only amendments to this.
That's not.
Yeah. We still have others. For example, the issue of the amendment to remove the power of election tribunal to declare someone a winner, especially when the leading candidates in that election is disqualified. Now, this has been, from I don't know what standpoint it is, but this is actually meant to retain the power with INEC of declaring the winner of election. Now, what effect will this have looking forward at the electoral process and looking at the internal politics that could lead to disqualification of political parties now, that could lead to disqualification of a candidate?
Well, thank you very much. You see, that's why we will keep amending and amending. Situations will always guide us as to what to amend in the Constitution. I could recall the case of Idris, the Kogi situation that has to do with Idris Wada, and yes, I think that was about 2 elections ago, where the contestant, one of the leading contestants, eventually died, and so we will keep amending. Circumstances will always guide us to be amended. And talking about disqualification of candidates and declaration of the alternative candidate by INEC, it is a call to the political parties that they should carry out due diligence before bringing candidates forward, and that also boils down to the aspect of internal democracy. Before you scale the all those who have been presented as your party flag bearer, you should have been thoroughly examined, and then examined, document properly checked, and then necessary things should, the political party that fails to carry out the diligence should know that what befell, I think was it Bayelsa or so, that brought about Diri. I think it was a governorship candidate of the other political party that was caught in the act, and because it was a joint ticket with the deputy, both of them got were taken off, and which led to the emergence. It only calls on political parties to do the needful. Beyond the money bags, beyond saying the money as a major requirement, other things you need to perform on the candidate. Have you taken time to perform? Do you want opposition political party, or your they are opposition to one another? Do you want the opposition political party to discover that, or you want the public to discover that, which will end up making you to lose your rights over that, irrespective of the stage the process is? Are we waiting for that? No. So I think it's that section beckons on the political parties to always do the needful. I'm talking about INEC. INEC, we should definitely retain that power, because they're talking about who declares winner. It is the INEC that will declare. So it is the INEC that will declare winner, and whosoever that is not comfortable with it, we have to approach the tribunal to determine. And then the tribunal also, honestly, we are in a very, very sad situation in the country, where tribunal these days now determines who wins the election. Elections supposed to be won through the ballot and not at the court. When elections are won mainly at the court, at times it can lead to total deprivation of the masses, the people.
But not every election will be won, on the field, because when there are irregularities, and there are always irregularities, then who should come in? That has been the involvement of the tribunal.
Yes.
So, we must look at the pros and cons. So what about that?
Yes, that is where I was saying that the political parties, they are expected to carry out due diligence.
But they won't. Not every time.
Not every, so when they fail to do, then they will lose. The tribunal will definitely come in. But in a very clear sense, because when you look at the case of Imo State, it has to do with getting the ADR off and bringing up Uzodimma, which to some people they will say Supreme Court determined, it was Supreme Court that determined the case in that area. I think we should always try and avoid such situation. If you're talking about representation, it should be at the ballot, and that is why we will be appealing to the political parties that you should do the needful. It's a sad one to believe that, well, some will only be looking for technicalities to say.
It's part of
it's part of the game.
It's part of the game.
It's part of the game. You have gone to the ballot. Some persons have won. Some persons are claiming victory. Someone coming first, another coming second, and the one who did not even surface on the ballot in some cases end up inheriting the vote because it was given to his political party. I think all of this we have to look at. It is not too good. It's not too good for us. But it is not the fault of the tribunal. It is the people that it is the political parties that gives room for all of that. Because when you look at the qualification, beyond what is spelled out in the Constitution, in the Electoral Act, what you see these days is number one qualification from the political parties: who got the resources, who can spend. In fact, they won't say it directly. Who have the capacity of buying votes? Who have the muscle, the financial muscle to contend at so play? Who has the Togri or hooligans muscle to contend is also play? And at the end of the day, they leave out what's supposed to be the major issue of the qualification of screening the candidate thoroughly. Oftentimes they leave that out of it, and at the end you see them losing out in the end of the whole thing when the matter is brought up before the tribunal. So I think I am just advising that we should try as much as possible to raise the consciousness of our people. When I say our people, I mean all critical stakeholders. So please let us find a way of averting such situation. Relying solely on the tribunal to determine who wins the election is a very sad one, because what is the fate of the millions of people that have marched to the ballot to say we are casting a vote for so? That is, we just jettison theirs, and because of one lacuna or technicality on technical ground, we throw away their vote.
So it's really not the fault of the tribunal. The political parties should just do justice, because I remember 2023 general election, Governor Mutwang of Plateau State almost lost his seat because of internal crisis of his party, the Democratic Party back then, that he lost all Senate, all House of Reps to APC, and he almost lost his own seat. So I think the political parties too need to just sit up. It's not the fault of the tribunal. The parties are there. It's politics to into those.
Yes, but the tribunal also have got some faults. Let us be sincere with ourselves. You know, when a certain amendment was done at the time to discredit the issue of placeholder, placeholder whereby someone has gotten ticket for governorship, has gotten a ticket for a Senate, and at the same time went on to run for governorship. When he feels securing the governorship ticket, he returns back to the... And a certain amendment was made at the time, very serious amendment that we thought would change the fortune of the whole thing and bring about progress. But what did we see? We saw some through the tribunal manipulating that process, and that is that even the Senate president we have today was also caught in that act. We have some of the senators caught in that act, where they have they were in even some they will contest in a particular political party, and at the end of the day, when it is not working out, they quickly cross carpet and go, and they will say they are placeholder. You know, we saw that in some cases. It happened in I think was it in the case of David was it in the case of David Mark or someone. So despite that amendment, some of these politicians still manipulated the process. They got even up to the Supreme Court to give them a shortcut to say, oh, yes, you can still retain. When people had actually thought that since you lost the election, you contested for yes, you contested as a presidential candidate, and people were believing that since you have contested that, you do not have right to come back and say you want to come and contest for Senate. But with such situation,
the law does not say that. The law says that 2022 Electoral Act says that if you contest a primary on a particular political party for a particular post, you can't go to another political party to contest that same post. For example, contest for governor in Party A,
and you now go to
another political party B to contest that same. You can't do that. So these are the technicalities in this electoral.
And in fact, people should also be able to contest if you feel, oh, the process has been skewed or the process has been quite a bit shaky. Why not you be able to approach the courts and say, no, I don't think this person won fairly. So that's
what I'm saying. The 2022 Electoral Act talked about discourage placeholder. Though I won't know the section, I think I'll take time to look into that. Citing a situation where you have contested for a particular position. I cited, maybe for instance, for a president, we saw some that contested for the presidential primary.
Ahmed Lawan comes to mind.
Ahmed Lawan, yes, that's a very clear example.
Yes.
And one that thought that, oh, with the new electoral act, he will not find his way to go back to the Senate.
Yes.
But one way or the other, the internal arrangement within his party paved way for him. I think that was even contested. I think it was even contested in court. Maybe his or that of someone else was contested in court. And at the end of the day, they still find their way in court.
Yeah, they went to court because the placeholder, was ready to. So they had to go to court, and it's still one of the.
So those are the part of the retrogressive things we do in this country, which should be discouraged.
Also, I think the Senate retained PVC as the primary mode of voter identification, and when there have been calls for alternative, like where can people use N9 and all of that? So can you also speak to this?
Yes, that's a very good one, because retaining the PVC permanent voter card, it's a very good one. But what I would have just said is that people agitating that we should use NI, we should use all of that. It's by the time it's a systemic thing. We ought not to even be canvassing for continuous voters registration. I'm looking for a time where such will be stopped. If you have the NPC in place, the National Population Commission, you have the NIMC, the National Identity Management Commission, you have them in place, and you have even, you talk about the immigration, you have all of them in place. If this system is linked up together, you should know when, and if the country makes it compelling and have a efficient system in place that compels every bet to be registered, not just at will. Because I can tell you there are some bets that are not registered, that they only go and do it at will when they feel. If it is compelling, it will be needless for us to still say continuous voters register. Once you know that your age is so certain, by the time the system pick you up that you're already 18, you should just go and pick up your card where you should pick it up. So that still boils down to the issue of we are talking of permanent voters card. It is not out of place if people are coming to say yes, NIN should also be used. NIN should also be used. PVC should also be used, in as much as they carry the same details. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. In as much as they carry the same, it is all about age. Before you can vote, you must be 18 years and above. A child that was 17 years in 2015 January, and now we are in February 2025 January. We are in February 2026 now. You weren't eligible to pick up voters card, but now the very date you attain that age, there are responsibilities. Those responsibilities should just be, you have the responsibility to go and pick up your card as also it has already been produced. But the same data you have there should be used. The only thing you may want to talk about, if you're talking about, okay, you may make it compelling that you have to give you want to give biometric. Yes, that may be the only option. But once you have yourself captured on NIMC, I still don't see the reason why, if the system is meant to work, I still don't see the reason why you have to still be talking about CVR. Because you can see NIMC, NIN is now linked up with your BVN now. In fact, for you to get your BVN, you can use NIN to generate your BVN. You can use your BVN also, one way or the other, to generate your NIN. So all these things should come together, so that it will not be too cumbersome for the participants, for the full voters, and even the election management body.
All right. One of the amendments that is expected, if this Electoral Act 2026 pull through, is the shortening now of the time of election, meaning that instead of us having election in 2027, we might likely have it in 2026, to give room for 6 months and tribunal prosecution before the inauguration in May 2029. But some of the opinion that shortening that time will affect INEC in preparation, some people's opinion, and also will reduce the time for voter education, civic education ahead of the election. What is your take on this?
Well, for me, those raising such, they definitely have their reasons. Maybe that proposal, if they're looking at the implementation for the 2027 election, may be true. It will be too short for them because they weren't prepared for it. But for our future election, talk about 2031, I see no reason why such cannot work. INEC have gotten enough time to prepare. After the May 2027 election, what would they start to do? They are expected to go back. They will be collecting their salaries. They are being paid, and it is expected of them to start the preparation for the next election immediately. And talking about CVR, I have just said something now. Most of the assignments of INEC, the one you hear these days, is to encourage people to go out and get their PVC, voting is your right, let your vote count. But the processes that needed to be followed, was one of it is what I have explained earlier, that they should make it compelling. Once you have clocked 18, get your voters card. You should know it as an obligation that you must definitely go and get your voters card. Just like you want to open a bank account, you must get this, you must get that. It will reduce the burden of orientation, come and get a car, come and do this, What we would rather be talking about is, yes, how do you secure the votes?
There's a challenge there because going by the last two general elections, 2023 and 2019, you discover that it's not about people getting their PVCs alone. It's about people coming out to vote. Voter apathy. It happened in almost all the states of the federation. Consider the election of the presidential election 2023. You could see the gap of those that are eligible to vote, those that had their PVCs, but those that came out to vote was not up to 50%.
Yeah, that actually reflects that the people's confidence in the electoral umpire got a bit reduced, and beyond the umpire and also the actors, the players, and that is why I said that those things that should discourage, when people feel that your vote will not count, some will sit down. Whether you go, what is the essence of going when indeed they already, even in some parents, they will tell you that when indeed they already know who is winning the election. It is not about, those areas INEC can actually treat them. I'm talking of the issue of CVR should be a thing that will fade out. It should even through text message. Your card, like you apply for your ATM card, your card is ready, pick it up. If you failure to pick it up, you could say that there will be a penalty for failure to pick it. That one can be, it's something we cannot. So CVR of the team will be out of it. CVR of the campaign for what we will now be talking about is, yes, the process itself. The process. How do we discourage vote buying? Because from all indication, we are not serious about discouraging vote buying for now.
How do you mean?
We are not serious about it. You can see when you talk about reducing penalty from 10 years to 2 years, and so also the perpetrators of vote buying, they will reduce the penalty from 10 to 2 years. It is sure that we are not prepared. We want to find an alternative to all of that. So what we should be talking, should be concerned most about is encouraging the people to participate, building their confidence and letting them know that the process is transparent. Your vote counts. Your vote is your decision. It will reflect whatever. And beyond all this that we're talking about, INEC will come out, have confidence in us. We will do this. But tomorrow, when you see the action of the the action of the politicians and some political parties will, within a short period, rubbish the entire information INEC has communicated, and it's a very sad one. And even
the conversation is ongoing. I think the Senate has constituted another committee to look into these complaints. But time is fast spent now. So 2027 elections, what are your expectations?
Well, my expectation is to see an election that will be conducted in a free, fair, and credible manner, and that will actually show to the world that we are advancing, that truly we are consolidating democracy, like INEC used to say. They say INEC Nigeria, consolidating democracy. So I want to see that process, and I also hope that our politicians will see the reason to allow this country to move forward. They should discourage the issue of employing youth as weapon to disrupt the process, and they should present the best options for the people. Because when the political parties fails to allow internal democracy, that we should have guaranteed having a free and fair ground, giving fair play for all candidates to contest. When they fail to present the right candidates from their political parties, then they will be leaving the electorates with no option than to choose among the evils, and to determine the lesser evil now can even be very confusing, because when you know that it is the money, it is true money making ventures that people are imagining, then you will be doing ourselves a very big disservice. So I will appeal to our political parties. They should allow internal democracy to prevail. We should know what has this person done, who is this person, and they should not give room for campaign of calumny. They should pass the message across. It is not about condemning Mr. Lagbaja, condemning Mr. Bring up your manifesto. Let the people let them scrutinize, let them engage you on your manifestos. And it is true that we can actually assume to be selecting or electing the best among the options that will be presented before us.
All right. Thank you very much, Comrade Yinka Folarin, National President, CDHR, for coming to the show. Electoral Act 2026 has not been passed, it has not been signed into law, so which means that this conversation will not end today, it continues. We'll wait for the harmonization between the Senate and the House of Reps. We'll also wait for presidential accent. Is he going to sign it into law or not? These are the issues that are still yet to be discussed on the Electoral Act. But you can be rest assured that on New Dawn, you will have that discussion right here. So we have to go. Moses.
Yes, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Comrade Yinka Folarin. And yes, New Dawn returns on Monday with another set of anchors. So we'll say, do have a lovely weekend. Bye for now.